Okay. Good evening, one and all present here.
a large large category of data, like a huge category of data. Okay, so like with this, the challenge came in like when the data size grew. Okay, when the data size grew, so there was a need to make the data consumptions scalable, because it's pretty slow. Like when the data sizes grows, then you really need to search for the data that is stored. Okay, and here actually you won't be able to do any kind of SQL queries or all those things. Rather, you'll have to implement a lot of in between transformations. If you worked on data lake, you must be using a lot of Azure Synapse activities, or like Azure Data Factory activities, or in the AWS world, you must be doing a lot of glue pipelines to like further format this data before you can consume it for the actual purpose. Okay, so you do a lot on top of the data lake so that you make the data available, consumable, and usable. Okay, so this is one of the challenges. And also all the data that you have kept in the data lake, because as the size of the data increases, the data lake also increases, right? Because it is keeping the data, and it becomes a challenge to like manage all these data, this huge quantity of data, and search for the data and use it. Okay, and at the same time, you tend to ignore lot of usable data. Not all the data in the data lake is consumable. A part maybe say 20 to 30% you can use it, and 70% of the data will still lie unused. That means you are not getting a complete insight from all the data available. You are just relying on 20 to 30% of the data, but 100% insight you are not getting out of it. Okay, that's a challenge. So to come up with this challenge, we got the lakehouse. Okay, so what is a lakehouse? Lakehouse is a combination of a data lake as well as your data warehouse. Okay, it's something between them that brings the best from both of the world. Okay, so let's see that. So basically, what were the challenges? The challenges was like scaling and consuming the data in the data lake, and also like using all of the data. Okay, so in the lake house, what happens is you still have the data lake. Okay, this is the data lake layer where like your data stores are ingesting your text, videos, images, XML, many, like lot of form, like imagine any format of data available that can come in, and there is a curated layer on top of it. Okay, a curated data layer. Okay, so this is what does the trick, does the magic. What it does is it acts as a wrapper on top of this of the data lake, and it gives you the facilities like performing ACID transactions, querying the data like a relational data, running SQL queries. So it makes the data behave like a relational database or like structured data. Okay, so how it does, we'll see it in a while. So like but this curated data layer, it does the trick, it does the magic. It sits on top of this data lake, and it gives you or makes the things behave like a structured database that you can query, perform ACID transactions. For data lake also, like I just missed that. For data lake, you can't do any kind of ACID transactions, right? But here, like you can do the ACID transactions. So all the ACID based transactions, all the structured, like running the SQL queries, and getting it, it also helps you in consuming the entire set of data. So all this goodness you get here, and your data becomes more usable, more consumable, and you get lot of insights. And while gathering the insight out of the data, so you consider the entire data set available in the data lake. There is no loss of you do not lose on any data on the data lake, or you do not tend to ignore. Rather, you can span, like you can increase your span of data, and you can work more efficiently and gather more insights out of it. Okay, so that was on the lake house. Now let me do a bit more digging on the curated data. Okay, like how it works and how it behaves like on top of this data lake, or rather like how it brings in those SQL goodness around here. Okay. So to understand that, let us try to understand the Databricks architecture. Okay. Like in case of Databricks, how it works. Because if you are going to work on Lakehouse, one of the best Lakehouses I've worked on is on Databricks. Okay. And in fact, it in a way it emerged from there only. This word has been coined from there, but it's not limited to Databricks. Like a lot of people think that data lakehouse means Databricks or something like that. You can build your lakehouse. Like today, I'm going to show you a demo on Azure using Azure Synapse, where I'm not going to use any Databricks. Okay, there won't be any delta tables or anything, but it's a very generic implementation of a lakehouse. Okay, I just wanted to make you understand the fact that lakehouse is a open source terminology, and it doesn't touch upon just a technology provider or like any kind of a company. So it's a generic word coin. But again, like understanding the Databricks platform is an awesome thing. So I thought I will just touch upon here. So in case of Databricks, this curated layer, what we have here, this curated layer is divided into two things, like delta lake, but it is nothing but it's a set of delta tables. Okay, that actually does the trick. That one of the important aspect of Lakehouse is time travel. Like you can see the versions of your data. Okay, so or rather like bringing in the asset transactions or querying it like a SQL database. So that is possible using delta tables. We'll explore the delta tables in a while. So this delta lake is built on top of those delta tables. And this Unity catalog is another important thing that we will be exploring it shortly in detail. So it is nothing but it brings in like a meta store, like your governance and security, help you in defining the compliance at one stop and applying to across the entire delta lake. So all these activities you can do using Unity catalog. So we are going to see this in detail today. Okay, so this curated layer helps you like make this data in the data lake behave as a structured data, on top of which you can run your SQL queries, do asset transactions, you can do a time travel. When I say a time travel out in data means you can actually see the versions of the history of the data. So what was now and what changed, when it changed, so all this information you can get. And also the data lineage, like who owns the data, from where it got generated. So the data lineage also you can see here. Okay, so let me move ahead and let's see those areas. Okay, but before we get into the delta tables and delta tables and our Unity catalog of Databricks, let's quickly touch upon the medallion architecture. Okay, so how it happens in the medallion architecture is your data source will be ingesting the data into the data lake. Okay, then this is your curated layer. Okay, my bad, I have missed depicting this as a curated layer. I should have done it, apologies. But this particular piece is the curated layer. Okay, that we saw, and that does the trick. Okay, so when you pick the raw data from here, we keep it in the bronze table because that data is usable, has very limited usage. Okay, that can't be consumed directly by your business user or any business functionalities. Okay, that needs a lot of massaging. Okay, so this data in the bronze table is next transformed to a silver level or pushed into the silver table, where like data is now more structured, is more consumable, and it actually fits into the business requirement, but it's not exactly usable by your end users. Okay, then you can have your gold table, like that can have actually the data that can be consumed by the end users, or like your application use cases. Okay, so application use cases will hit the gold data, but before like getting into the gold data, this data needs to get into a series of transformations. Because why we like this kind of architecture is needed is, by default, like transforming the data at a single instance to a gold data is very difficult. It has to be improvised. Lot of improvisations are needed. Like, let me give you an example. Like, for example, you have a tons of patient data, okay, and your system needs to work on just the data of the patients who are diabetics, okay, who are diabetes, and they are 60 years on top of 60 years of age, okay. So in the branch table, you will get all the data, the patient data, in the data table format, okay. So on top of this branch data, in this, when we get into the silver table, so there you will have all the information, okay, of all the patients who are diabetic. Bronze table will have all the data. Silver table will have like data just for the diabetic patients, and the gold table will be more precise, and it will have data for the diabetes patient who are more than 60 years of age. Okay, that means this is the actual consumable use case. Similarly, on top of this bronze data, you can build a lot of silver tables and gold tables, and you can start consuming it. Okay, that helps you in transforming and making the data reusable. Definitely, like, it's not just the case of the data platform where you need to get into Medallion architecture. This is needed in any kind of architecture where you want to deal with data, right? The first hit, the first cut of data is never usable, and you have to improvise it and polish it so that you can actually start consuming it. Okay, so that was on the Medallion architecture. Okay, so now let me move forward and talk a bit on the Delta tables and Unity catalog. And I can talk on volumes on in this area, but I have restricted to just to give you an introduction out here. Maybe in some other time, like, I can request Multicloud for you to give me one more session to talk in this area because it's pretty interesting and pretty huge. Okay, so Delta tables, what they are? Let me again go back to my Databricks architecture. You see here the Delta Lake. Delta Lake is nothing but they are like they consist of these delta tables, okay, and that does the trick. That makes the thing along with the Unity catalog look like a structured a data source. Okay. So what is a delta table? Delta table is a Parquet file, okay. It's basically it's a Parquet format file. We'll see that maybe now today I'm not showing you, but I'll be showing you this Apache like transforming the data into Parquet file and all these things in the demo, which will do it in the next 5-7 minutes. So like delta tables, it keeps the data in the Parquet format. It acts like a relational database. You can query the data like a relational database. You can run ACID compliant transactions on top of it. It's highly optimized for your queries to run so that you get faster results and outputs. Okay, it helps you with the time travel I told you. Like, you can go for the version of the data changes, so how the data evolved and how like it has changed, and also you can keep a track of the transaction logs. Okay, you'll get the audit trail and all these things using this delta table. So delta table is the one that does the magic, okay, in the data lake, or rather in the delta lake, and that makes your curated layer, that builds your curated layer, that makes your lake house act like a SQL data store or like a relational data store. Okay, now let me talk a bit about the Unity catalog, the second layer we saw there. Okay, so it's a one-stop for your data governance and security that you can define only once, and it can be applied across all the data in your lakehouse. Okay, it facilitates auditing and data lineage out of the box. You don't need to do anything, so that your data can be traced, your data assets can be traced. Okay, then it supports data discovery. It's an important part, right? Discovering the data, because when you are dealing with or you are talking about lakehouse, you are dealing with tons of data, like it's big data. Okay, in that case you need to tag your data. It should be discoverable. There should be documentation available around the data. So all these things are managed by the Unity catalog, and your Unity catalog looks something like this. Okay, you have the meta store. Okay, that will have your permissions, only those who have permission can come here, or the actual meta, for example, it is XYZ department data. Then you have the catalog. Okay, like a sub department, like maybe in a department that can be multiple sub departments, and catalog can be one of the sub departments. You can visualize it that way. Inside the catalog, you have the schemas. Schema is nothing but the databases. Okay, we call the databases as schema, and the schemas have tables and views. Okay, this is how your Unity catalog is structured, and all the governance, security, compliance are like defined at the metastore level, and that gets carried away till your table and view level. That's why I told you, you define it or build it once, okay, at the root level, and then you propagate it across. Okay. So this was end to the theoretical aspects. And the best thing is told by the Walt Disney is like the way to get started is to quit talking and start doing, right? And really appreciate your patience, like for hearing me out the theoretical concepts till now. And now I am going to implement a lakehouse and show you on Azure. But again, I'm not going to do a Databricks because I don't think like a 1 hour session will do justice to the like explain the entire Databricks concepts and everything here. So I thought I will show you a generic lakehouse that will help you in understanding the concept, like this curated layer concept. Okay, curated layer concept. So we'll take a industrial use case, and we will build put the data in the data lake. We will build a curated data layer. Okay, a curated layer out here, and then we'll query the curated layer. So that's what we'll do, a generic way, not the Databricks one. So let's see. Okay, so this is the use case. Okay, electronic health record system. Like I thought I'll bring this healthcare use case because I'm like off late I'm more tend towards this healthcare area because I'm doing my doctorate in this area, and I'm really enjoying it. So I tend to find a lot of genuine use cases in this area that I try to bring in all my sessions that you must be tracking me along. Okay, so here actually I'll tell you what a health record system is. It's nothing but it keeps your patient health data. Okay, so like we have an electronic health record system that generates tons of patient health data, and they generate the data in the CSV format every day, and they ingest into the Azure Data Lake. Okay, a system is there that builds a tons of health data, and they ingest it into the Azure Data Lake. And the end goal is to do some BI and ML work on top of it. Okay, there is a need to transform the data and make it consumable by both the BI systems and the ML systems. Okay, so this is the use case, a pretty generic use case you'll find whenever you're dealing with any kind of your data customers. And this is how the solution that I've come up with. So the EHR will put the data in Azure Data Lake. Then we'll be using Synapse Analytics. I'm not going to touch upon these Azure Data Lake concepts or Synapse Analytics. They are themselves a beast in their area, and it will take a lot of time to explain those things. So like I'll be using Synapse Analytics pipeline to like convert those CSV files, or rather the data from the raw data into the curated data. And our curated data is the Parquet data. That also will keep in the data lake. Then we will import it to the lakehouse database, okay, as the curated data layer. Okay, so let's do this 3 steps. Let me know if you can see my browser. All of you can see my browser, right? You can just write a yes, sir. Soumya, my browser is visible, right? On the screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay, cool. So let me first create a Azure Data Lake. Okay, for that we all know we need to create a storage account. We get here, create a storage account. Get a new resource group. Say RG Health Lake. I'll call it Health Lake. Then storage account name, I will say that Data Lake. Data Lake Health Data. Okay, I'll call it as like this. Then I don't want a GRS. Then I'll go to the next step. And you can convert any storage account into a data lake generation 2 by enabling hierarchical namespace. Okay, so the data lake, the new age data lake or the new generation data lake or the Gen 2 data lake is based on your blob storage, because blob storage is very robust and it can do a lot of it's much powerful to deal with your tons of big data. Okay, we can enable the hierarchical namespace. I'm not getting into all these things into data lake and these things. Now let me do a review and create. Do a create. Will take a while to complete. Well, it's doing its work. So while it's deploying, okay, let it. Okay. Meanwhile, I can also create an Azure Synapse Analytics. Okay. That will save me some time, because we'll be building the lakehouse on inside this Synapse Analytics actually. Data Synapse workspace. This is my resource group. Workspace name is like Synapse Health Data. Is it there or taken? Cool, it's there. This is my account name. I need to do a file system actually. So go to the resource. My data lake has been created. We need a file system there. So I'll go and create. One of them would be the raw. Small. Okay. I'll call it raw, where I'll be keeping my raw data. Okay. Then I'll have one more folder. I'll call it as the processed, where I'm going to keep the Parquet file. Okay. And another is just for Synapse uses. I'll call it Synapse. Okay. So in the raw, let me upload some file, the CSV file that I'm going to work on. Call it as the health. I have already created a CSV file as health data, and it has all the patient data actually, patient health data. I'll upload it here. Okay, it's done. Okay. So it's done. So now I will go back to my Synapse. I will again select this, call it Synapse. Then you can do a review plus create. I'll do a create. It takes a while, like Synapse, it will take some around good 3 to 4 minutes to get created. Meanwhile, while it is getting created, I'll show you the file that I've uploaded. Okay. Your EHR system will be generating a file like this. Okay. These all are fake data. Like it's no, there is no PII or anything involved there. All these are fake data. I have faked it. And it looks something like this. And we are just going to convert this CSV into a table in the data, in a table in the lakehouse, in the lake database. So let's go here. Still in progress. While the Synapse Analytics is getting created, any queries we have till now? I can answer some queries while it's getting created. Okay. So let's wait for a while. I'll go on a pause for 2 to 3 minutes while it's deploying.
Guys, if you have any questions, please write in chat.
While it's getting created, another information like I have some goodies towards the end of the session. Okay. So I can give one of my book like Mastering Azure Serverless Computing. Okay. I'll ask you some questions. We'll do a fastest finger round. I'll ask you some questions, and if you like tell the answer correct, whoever gives the answer correct, the first 2 participants who gives the answer correct, so we'll get 2 of my books. And Anjani sir, you are there in?
Abhishek, can I ask questions actually? Is it like, or can
Yeah.
we?
Yes.
So it's good actually regarding the Azure Synapse Analytics. First, you created a storage account. Second, then you created the raw data, then process data. Then you went for the Azure Synapse Analytics. Am I right? Basically,
Yes, correct.
you are creating data into the data lake and converting that data lake into the CSV into the Parquet format and loading that into the so lake database, correct?
Lake database,
From
correct.
there, it is going to do the analytics part like machine learning and business intelligence, like reporting layer.
Exactly. Correct? Yeah, from the lake database, you can actually play around with the data. Correct.
So something like S3. So typically in other environments and all, we used to load the data from S3 to data lake.
Yes.
From data lake to S3, correct?
Yes. So like if you talk about the S3, I can tell you an exact scenario there. And there actually, like, see, today, like Lakehouse on Azure, okay,
Yeah.
the on Azure Synapse, it doesn't support Databricks, like your Delta tables. But if you write a glue workload or a glue pipeline, so you can use the market connector. There is a Delta table connector. You can use that. From the S3, you can actually generate a Parquet file that is actually a Delta table.
Right.
You can do that there. But and then from your Athena or like from your Glue,
Redshift Spectrum and all.
you can read it. Yes, you need to load it to Glue. Okay, you need to load it to Glue tables. You can read it.
So similarly, I can understand the concepts. Only the GUI part might be different. Am I right here? So
Exactly. Yeah.
So if I know the concept, I can relate it. Correct.
Sorry.
That is so yes. So in Synapse also, once you generate the Delta table either through Azure Data Factory or the pipeline, whichever it supports through data flow, you can attach it as an external table or view and then use it. So that's possible through Synapse also. And the one more thing, as you asked, Abhishek, so one book from my side also, Mastering Databricks Lakehouse Platform, written by me and Sagar Lad. So based on the fastest finger first, whosoever you guys decide. Okay. So we'll zip it. Our team will ask for the address and details. That's how we'll do.
And just to add to Anjani sir, like on Lakehouse, we can't create a like it as of now today. It doesn't support delta tables actually, Lakehouse, but in future they can. But again, like you can build a data lake. You are building a data lake that actually do all those data lake tricks. Okay, my Synapse is created. I'll quickly open the Synapse Studio. Sunday evening, Microsoft gets slower. Like Azure, I've seen this lot many times, like in demos on Sunday evenings. Microsoft Azure struggling. They also need some weekends. Okay, so what is the first thing we need to do? We have in our data lake, we have some raw data. Now let's process it and generate a Parquet file. Okay, so for that, I will create a pipeline. Okay, I'm not getting into this Synapse analytics and all these things. I understand that you know the concepts, or else these are very easy things. You can follow me when I'm doing it, and you can actually dig these things and you can uncover a lot of things around this area. Okay, so I'm going to use this copy data activity. And if you're from AWS, then you can actually start like visualizing it as your glue jobs. Okay, so I just copied this copy data. Like I'll call it like maybe some good name, like process raw data. Okay, then I'll define the source. I'll create a new data set. It's data lake Gen 2, Azure Data Lake Gen 2. Continue. The format is CSV. Continue. I'll call it as like DS source, or rather like DS raw. Okay, and I can create a new link service actually. Test connection successful. Create it, and I'll mark fast header. Then I will browse the file that I've uploaded. Health data.csv. This is the file. Okay, so basically what I did was I defined a connection. Okay, I need to connect to the lake, right? This pipeline needs to connect to the data lake. So I built the connections, and from the connection, like what I'm doing is like I'm creating a data set using the CSV file that I have uploaded in the data lake. And most importantly, I marked like the first row is the header. Okay, then let me do an OK. Okay, my source is done. Then the sink. Okay, where I'm going to put it. Here also I need to do a new one. Same, like I want to put it in the data lake. Okay, but again, it's a Parquet file. Okay, it's an Apache format, open source format from Apache, like Parquet file. Then I will name it like DS processed. Okay, I'll use the same connection. Then I'll do an OK. I'm going to put it here. Okay, so I've defined the sink. I'm going to put the Parquet file in that processed folder that I've created. Now what next? I need to like do the mapping. Okay, for that I can just do an import schema. What it is going to do is it inferred the schema out there, okay, in that table, in that CSV file. From the source CSV file, it read the schema and it populated it for me. I just wanted to like change the age, like I'll make it integer. Okay, int, maybe int 16 is good enough to keep the store, or better, like let me make it int 32. Okay, now I'm sorted. Now what next? My pipeline is ready. I'll publish it. Okay. Now let the publishing complete, then I'll trigger it. Okay, publishing is complete. Now I will trigger it. Here now the pipeline is running. It's cute. Takes a while actually. Okay, it succeeded, but the status has not changed. That's fine. Let's go and see what we have in our directory. Okay, in the process. See, we have the Parquet file that we created, but it's not a delta table. It has generated a Parquet file, but it does the trick. Your Lakehouse will do the trick, and it will create a lake database for you. So this is the Parquet file that got generated by that pipeline. Now let me get into the data. Okay. So now I will create a lake database. Okay. So if you want to create a lake house, you need to do this lake database. Do not do the SQL database. It should be a lake database. Okay. Now I'll call it as maybe health data lake. Okay. Then what next? I will publish this so that my database is created. Okay. Now I need to add a table here. I'll go here. I'll say I want to create a table from the data lake. I will name it as the health table. Okay. And I will select that Parquet file. Okay. Okay. This is our Parquet file that you see here. Okay. And this is what it got generated by that pipeline. We ran that pipeline and it generated that Parquet. Now continue. It takes some a minute or so. Okay, I'll say create. And now I will publish it. Okay, publish is complete. Now let's see if we have a table here. See, we have the health table imported. I changed the data type. That means that worked. Inside your Parquet file, you had this data type. Now I want to query it. See, it was a CSV file lying in the database. Now I have built a curated layer. This is your curated layer. Okay, the curated layer I was talking about. This is the curated layer. On top of this curated layer, I am selecting the top 100 rows. Let me run this. Fingers crossed. It should work. I should get the data. Cool, it worked. And you can see I'm running the SQL queries. Okay, you can run for example, where age greater than 40. You run it. See, I can actually do SQL queries on top of this, and I can get my job done. So that was about the demonstration out here regarding your Lakehouse on Synapse. So pretty much on time now. Like I am open to queries, and before we open the quiz, like we can take queries for next 2 to 3 minutes. Since it's already 10, we'll take I'm open to questions for the next 2 to 3 minutes, and then we will get into 2 questions. One for my book, like Mastering Azure Serverless Computing, and another is for Anjani sir's book. Okay, maybe you can raise your hand, or like you can type in your query, and I can address them one by one.
So this lake database is the place where it get the data for machine learning and analytics purpose, correct?
Yes.
Right. So what you've done is like after getting the raw data, you created the pipeline and then converted that to Parquet format, and then get that Parquet data to the data lake, right? Then
Exactly.
you did a query on it, and then you selected the SQL query, and then you are doing it actually. Right?
Yes. So this is not a data lake. It's a lake house.
Lakehouse,
Yeah. Curated layer. Like these tables are your curated layer.
So it can contain structured and unstructured data actually. So basically, data lakes.
Data lakes, yes, it can contain both structured and unstructured data.
Right.
Basically, like if you have your unstructured data like CSV, JSON, and all, where
Right.
you like earlier we were not able to do the select queries and all, right? That was a challenge with data lakes.
Right.
So you are able to bring in ACID transactions, time travel. So I don't have a Databricks setup with me, or else I could have shown you the time travel thing. It's a very interesting thing that you should explore as the next step.
Right.
Maybe actually, I think it's fair enough if I tell this, Anjani sir, right? We are coming up with a book actually. Like we are co-authoring a book. I'm not sure like whether I'm supposed to like
Okay.
tell this here in this forum or not. Me, Anjani sir, and we have one more colleague of Anjani sir. Like we are coming up with a very nice book with Appraise on this data platform, like on this modern data, how to handle the modern data and all. Maybe like in the next 3 to 4 months, 2 to 3 months, we'll be completing the manuscript. And maybe if things go fine and the manuscript gets accepted, then like we are going to have a very nice book, like where you can learn all these and much more than that. Because when I say I come from a solution architecture background, I'm not a data guy. But if you see Anjani sir or his colleague, they are they are superb in data. They are the data guys. They're the data men, right? So
Right.
like it's a perfect blend that we came up with. Me, Anjani sir, and his colleague, like we came up as a perfect blend. And I brought in my solution architecture expertise, and they brought in their data expertise. We collaborated, and we have come up with a very nice content actually on
Thanks.
Appraise.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good work. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm not sure whether I should be talking about this forum or not, but I just got curious and I just revealed it. Yeah. Okay. If no other questions, then I am like, then I will key in the first question. Okay. Let me open the panel. How we can do this?
Just type in the question and then someone will reply. If the person who replies first, it's the first book, and then the person who replies, second, it's the second book. Second question.
Okay.
So, yeah, first answer will be
I'll go offshore for a moment. I'll type in the question, and then I will share the screen again. Or let it be. Maybe that's fine.
Yeah, we'll just read who answered first. I think Ravi has a question for secure data sharing. There is a concept of clean room. So we have anything like that in Azure Data Lake.
Yeah, I'll come to that. I'll just post the question. Maybe post. It's fine, right? We can.
Yes, post it.
Okay. So what is the medallion architecture on Azure Data Lake? Come on, it's an easy one. Like we saw that. Okay, Raman. That's correct. Who is the second one to answer this?
Oh, same gold tables and medallion, this thing, silver and silver tables.
Okay. Okay, we have two books for this, like Raman. Okay. Okay.
So it's me, Maheshwar Kumar. Who told that.
Okay. Yep. We have two winners already. And let me. Maybe Soumya, we can keep a track. Like one is like Raman Kumar, and another is Mahesh.
Yes.
Maheshwar Kumar. The second question is it's a debated question, but still data warehouse. Okay. Data warehouse is best suited for business intelligence or machine learning activities.
It's best suited for business intelligence, actually.
Okay. Okay, it's again Ravi.
Ravi the first.
Ravi.
Then
Raman. Okay.
So second was Maheshwar. First was Ravi.
Yeah, I spoke in the mic actually instead of typing.
Okay.
Yeah. Before that, Ravi typed.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Maybe you can do something like this. Expand this. Okay, one is Ravi. Okay. Okay, we'll go with this. Maybe like now we have both the winners, right?
Yes, for first one is Raman and Maheshwar Kumar, and for second one is Ravi.
Okay. Okay. So I think we had a query as well before we close on. So what was that?
Ravi had a question, clean something.
Maybe you can unmute him. He can call it out. It's fine.
Ravi, you can unmute yourself. Ravi, try unmuting yourself. Ravi says not able to unmute. Soumya, can you unmute Ravi?
Yes.
So he's saying on secure data sharing, there is a concept of clean room. So we have anything like that in Azure Data Lake.
Okay, what was that? Sorry, like, would you mind repeating again, Anjani?
He says secure data sharing. Yeah, Ravi.
Okay. Concept of clean room. So we have anything like that in Azure Data Lake. This one actually I have not, like, to be very frank and precise, I haven't heard of it in the Azure platform. Maybe Anjani sir, are you aware of this concept, like clean room?
So Microsoft has evolved, like there are a lot of discussion happening, but there is no, direct concept. There is some, with different architecture concept you apply. And we have seen multiple tech community discussion coming. But looks like maybe something different would be there, but not directly that I am hearing a lot around.
I hope that helps you, right, Ravi?
Yeah.
Databricks says that there is a clean concept. It's evolving, but still some time would take to,
So so my question was mainly with that only, that like clean room is a concept where we basically use for sharing some secure data or something. So Databricks and other AWS and all this program has clean rooms. So
yeah. So that so Databricks actually, because of the Delta Lake concept, it supports row column wise sharing. So where same data structure can be shared to different groups in a different ways. So that possible, uh, uh, and also because of the delta table availability there, it becomes easy for through Unity catalog, and then there's a multiple way of sharing that Databricks support, ODE and other user access. So you can definitely share different set of views to different user, even at the column level and the record level.
okay. Thank you, Rajni.
Okay, thanks. If we don't have, tell me. Okay. So if we don't have any other queries, then like I have come to the end of my presentation. This is my LinkedIn URL. Feel free to get in touch with me and let's keep connected.
Okay.
So over to you, Soumya.
Thank you so much, Abhishek, for a great session, and thanks to everyone who joined. You all can use the code that is shared in chat for the certificate. Certificate code is capital I 774 capital D 8. I repeat, capital I 774 capital D 8. It might take a few days to get it once we upload the recording of the session. I hope you all enjoyed the session. Thank you so much.
You want me to write the code in the notepad, or that's fine?
Okay, then let me share my screen and then
Yes. Yep.
அவங்க வந்து பழக்கம், அதனால அந்த இடத்துல என்ன இருக்குது, நம்ம போற வழி என்ன தெரியும்.
Yeah, so this is the code. I hope my screen is visible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So yes, you all can use this code for downloading the certificate. Okay. Okay then. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So thank you, Abhishek, for your time.
Thanks,
everyone.
Abhishek.
Thanks,
you.
Abhishek. Nice session.
Thanks.
Thanks, Anjali.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thanks.
Thank you,
Mahesh.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
அவ மத்தியானத்துக்கும் லெமன் ரைஸ் ரைஸ் போட்டு போடுறல அவ எல்லாம்